ever really thought about how you'd build a society from the ground up? I mean, not just the roads and buildings, but the stuff that really matters. Justice, compassion, a way to keep leaders in check. Well, today, we're going to look at an ancient text, the book of Deuteronomy, as exactly that, a detailed blueprint for a nation. This is going to be fascinating. Let's dive in. Yep, we're going to be zeroing in on chapters 15 through 17. They lay out this incredible vision for how a community is supposed to function, and honestly, some of these ideas are pretty radical. And this is really the core question, isn't it? If you had a blank slate, what are the foundational principles you would put in place to make sure that society was fair, that it was merciful, and that it was actually built to last? So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about this wild economic idea called the 7-year reset. Then we'll look at how they used rituals to build a shared national identity. After that, we'll dig into their system for justice. And finally, we'll see how this blueprint made sure that even the king, the most powerful person in the land, had to follow the rules. Okay, first up, the economy. But this isn't about, stock markets or complex financial instruments. This was about weaving compassion right into the very fabric of the financial system. And it all hangs on this one number, 7. You're going to see it pop up again and again, and understanding why it's so important is really the key to unlocking this whole system. You see, in the ancient world, 7 wasn't just the number after 6. It symbolized divine completeness, perfection, like the 7 days of creation. It's the bringing together of the heavenly, that's the number 3, and the earthly, the number 4. This idea of a complete holy cycle is the foundation for everything we're about to see. So here it is, the big one. Every 7 years, there's a society-wide forgiveness of debts. It's like hitting a systemic reset button. The whole point was to stop poverty from becoming a generational trap, to make sure no one was buried under debt forever. I mean, what a radical idea, not just back then, but even for us today. But what I find so interesting is that it wasn't just a cold legal transaction. The law puts all this emphasis on your attitude. It's telling people, hey, be generous and don't get stingy just because you know the year of forgiveness is coming up. The spirit of the law was every bit as important as the letter of the law. And this same 7-year principle applied to people too. If someone fell into servitude, it wasn't a life sentence. It was capped at 6 years. And on that 7th year, they didn't just walk away free. Their former master was commanded to give them a generous severance package, basically, to make sure they had a real fresh start. It's all about restoration, not just release. Okay, so let's shift gears. A healthy society isn't just about economic laws, right? It's about a shared story, a common identity. And for ancient Israel, this identity was forged in these incredibly powerful nationwide rituals. So check this out. 3 times every single year, every man in the nation was required to travel to one central place. These were way more than just holidays. They were these massive national pilgrimages designed to make everyone remember their shared history and their shared values together. I mean, just take the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The food itself was the message. For a week, you ate this simple, flat bread that was made in a hurry. It was a physical, tangible way to remember the bitterness of slavery in Egypt and that frantic rush to freedom. It was literally a history lesson you could taste. And look at this principle for giving at these festivals. It wasn't a flat tax. It wasn't everyone gives $10. The idea was that your giving should be a grateful response. You gave in proportion to how you'd been blessed that year. It hardwires the idea of responsive generosity right into the heart of worship. So, you've got a compassionate economy and a strong shared identity. What's the third pillar? Well, it's justice. How do you make sure the whole system is actually fair for everybody? The rules laid out for judges were, they were crystal clear and incredibly strict. Don't play favorites, whether someone's rich or poor. Absolutely no bribes. And your one single-minded goal has to be justice, and only justice, period. And the text gives this profound psychological insight into why bribes are so bad. It says a bribe doesn't just corrupt a judge, it literally blinds them. It messes with their perception so they can't even see the truth clearly anymore. What a powerful warning about how fragile justice can be.
So to protect that system, especially when the stakes were highest, another number becomes absolutely critical. Not 7 this time. This time, it's 2 or 3.
And this was a non-negotiable legal safeguard. Think about it. In a capital case, a case of life or death, one person's accusation was never, ever enough. You had to have 2 or 3 independent witnesses. This was designed specifically to protect people from false accusations and to make the burden of proof incredibly high. All right, on to our fourth and final pillar, leadership. What about the person at the very top of the pyramid? The king? Well, this blueprint makes it clear. Even the king had a boss. The king was specifically told no on the 3 things that ancient rulers wanted more than anything. No huge army of horses, which was all about military might. No taking a bunch of wives, which was how you made political alliances. And no hoarding giant piles of gold and silver for yourself. Each rule was a direct check on the classic temptations of power. But this is the most amazing rule of all. The king wasn't above the law. He was supposed to be its #1 student. He had to personally write out his own copy of the law, keep it with him, and read from it every single day of his life. And what was the whole point of all that reading? It was about humility. It was a daily reminder that there was an authority higher than him. And it was to make absolutely sure he never got it in his head that he was somehow better than the very people he was leading. So when you put it all together, these economic resets, servant leadership, justice that protects the accused, a shared identity, it's a pretty compelling vision for a society. And it really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? How do these ancient ideas about justice, compassion, and leadership challenge the way we think about our own societies today?